watching Rogers TV.
Hey, welcome to Daytime Ottawa. Hope you're enjoying this heat. Oh my goodness, stay cool as much as you can out there because it's going to be hot throughout the entire week. Speaking of hot, we got a hot show. Fantastic show. Chef Yannick Anton is here on the show today from Le Cordon Bleu. We're going to catch up with him because he has just won an incredible award. We'll catch up with him after this segment. But you're seeing the talented Rebecca Keeley joining us on the show, spokesperson for Egg Farmers of Ontario, joining us today. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I am great. I haven't seen you for years. So
Yes.
You used to come in with your mom, Corey Keeley, my co-host and I at the time, TL and I. We had the corniest song to introduce your mom each and every time. I won't do that to you.
Okay.
Okay?
Next time.
Exactly. I promise. Yeah, we'll work you slowly into the show.
Yes.
Today we're talking eggs, and I imagine for yourself, this is probably, your mom being Corey Keeley.
Yes.
You must have been in the kitchen all the time with mom.
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Every single day I watched her do these shows and I helped her cook all the time. So I've got some good experience from her, for sure.
And I imagine eggs was probably one of the first things she's probably introduced you to, like most parents do, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The very first thing I did in the kitchen actually was learn how to cook scrambled eggs. So
Nice.
we sat there and she showed it to me step by step. So that was my intro to cooking. So here we are now.
Here we are, lo and behold, and we're using eggs in a very unique and different way today.
Yes.
What are we making today? What do we want to start over here, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So here we've got a lemon raspberry tiramisu. I got this recipe from the Egg Farmers of Ontario at getkraken.com.
Okay.
They've got a ton of different recipes if you want to take a look. This one is perfect for the summer. It's got some refreshing flavors. So
Okay.
I'll show you how to make it.
All right, I'm going to flip
Yeah.
over this way so that you can take over on
Absolutely.
that side. All
yeah.
right.
So we're gonna set this up first. This is gonna be the liquid that we dip these cookies into.
Okay.
So we've got a cup of raspberry jam here. And then we've got a 1/4 cup of water,
All right.
2 tablespoons of lemon zest, and then a 1/3 cup of lemon juice.
I love raspberries, my absolute favorite fruit.
Absolutely.
The flavor is so good, and you can do so much with them.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, and it's great for the summer too. Like the lemon is so refreshing.
Yeah.
It complements the raspberry very well. So it's
And that's
perfect.
what we're looking for, right? It's
Exactly.
summer. I just mentioned, we're in a heat wave right now. You don't
Exactly.
necessarily want to, have anything that's really, going to fill you up like crazy and make you
true.
feel a little lethargic,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, we need a little pick-me-up. This is
Exactly.
exactly what it is. So for next step, I've got 6 egg yolks here. This
Okay.
is going to be basically the most important part of this recipe.
All right.
The egg yolks are going to act as a thickener for the lovely mix we're going to put together in a second.
Okay.
So I've got 6 egg yolks, and then
Yeah.
I've got 3/4 cups of sugar.
All right.
Right, and I'll give that a little mix. So what you're gonna do for this is you're gonna get a double boiler going. So a little
Okay,
saucepan
right.
with some water, and you're gonna throw it on in a little glass like this, and you're gonna cook it on low for about 9 minutes. And while you're doing that, you're gonna be beating it
Okay.
at high speed.
Okay,
So
high
it's gonna
speed, gotcha.
double in size and turn a pale yellow, just like this little mixture here.
So that's the finished product. That's what it'll look like afterwards.
Exactly.
Okay.
I did it already just so I can show you everything.
Right.
So this is going to be our mix here. I'm going to put it into the bowl so we can add everything
So
else
beautifully
in there.
fluffy. Look at that.
Oh, I know. It's amazing.
I could eat that just like that, I think.
Oh yeah, and it's like it smells absolutely delightful.
Nice.
Yeah. So once we've got that in there, we're going to add the mascarpone cheese.
Oh, so good.
Yes. And we're going to beat that together quickly.
Okay.
Here we go. Give that a little mix in.
So you mentioned to me before the show you're taking food sciences right now?
I
Is that
am,
right?
yeah. It's new, so I just switched into it, but
Okay.
I'd say it's pretty fitting.
Yes.
I'm really enjoying it.
It's an excellent choice. Well, and
Yes.
maybe you'll be with Le Cordon Bleu one day,
I know.
taking
You
some of
never know.
Yannick's courses. He's got
You
a
really
great
never
team
know.
over there.
Oh, I'd love to. I would
yeah.
absolutely love to.
And you live right beside it. So it's
true.
perfect.
It's true. Yes, my student house is literally
That
right
is
beside
amazing.
the Cordon Bleu. Yeah. So I just threw some lemon curd in there.
Okay.
You can either do store-bought or you can make your own. There's actually a fantastic lemon curd recipe on getkraken.ca.
Okay.
So check that out if you've got the time. But if you're in a little bit of a crunch, there's no harm in grabbing a store-bought one.
Yeah,
It'll expedite
exactly.
it a little
Well, you're
bit.
allowed to cheat.
Yeah, exactly. So now I'm gonna put half of this whipped cream in.
Oh my God, this is so indulgent.
I know. You're gonna fold it in.
Okay.
And then once that's pretty well combined, you'll add the rest of it.
Okay.
So we'll throw that in there. And then we'll get to the fun stuff, which is assembling this.
All right.
Yeah, so this recipe is great for large guests. It makes a pretty big portion. And the best thing about it is that it's actually better when you leave it to sit overnight.
Okay.
So that the ladyfingers
Nice.
can absorb all of the goodness
Right.
of this. And it's also a great way to get younger kids involved in the kitchen.
Yeah, of course.
Doing this layering is incredible.
We have about 3 minutes left, just to give you a heads up. Okay.
Well, we will skip this. It's
Okay.
just
You're
layering.
just dipping it and then
these-
putting the whole layer down and then this on
Exactly.
top and then another layer, right? That's kind of the
Exactly.
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we wanted to get over this. Speaking
It's
of fresh,
true.
right?
Yes.
Fresh tomatoes
We're
and herbs are out right now.
Yes, we started with dessert, but this is going to be our main dish.
Okay.
It's a baked egg bruschetta, so you've got the final product here. What I've got started is some pizza dough with a little bit of our herb oil drizzled on. You're going to pop that in the oven for about 10 to 12 minutes to get it cooked a little bit. And then you're going to take it out and we're going to assemble the bruschetta.
All right.
So I've got about 3 cups of chopped up tomatoes. I've got 3/4 cups of white onion,
Okay.
salt and pepper, basil, and then some garlic. And then the leftover oil that we use for the pizza dough is actually going to go in here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we'll
Nice.
toss that in, and then
good.
about 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. And we will give this a good mix.
I love bruschetta too.
Oh, it's my favorite.
And me too. And I always do it the same way. So it's nice to have something that's a little bit different to mix things up because
Absolutely.
we get stuck in that rut sometimes,
It's
right?
true.
Where, the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, it really elevates it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? I would eat this for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, which is the
100%.
best part.
I would too.
Yeah. So once we're done that, we're gonna spoon this mixture on. I've got this spoon here. It has some holes in it. It's just gonna drain
just to
some
keep
of the liquid.
yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
we
Because you don't want it all
getting
soggy. Yeah.
Exactly. So once we've got this stuff here, we're gonna do something really fun and crack some eggs into the middle of it.
Nice.
Yeah, so we'll make a couple wells.
Hence,
the bruschetta
hence the
mix.
breakfast, folks.
Exactly.
Just throw eggs on this and tell, if you're young out there, and tell your parents, well, it is breakfast. I've got a couple eggs on here.
Exactly. Right, so I'm gonna make a couple little wells in there for that
All right.
egg to go.
Here, let me.
Do you want to crack some in
one.
there?
Yeah, why not?
Perfect.
Look at that. And then you're
Yes.
throwing this back in the oven, right?
Yes,
That's
so
the idea?
it's gonna go back in the oven at 425 for 20-ish minutes or until the egg is set. And the beauty about this too is that if you like your eggs a little softer, then you can put it in for a little less time.
Right.
Or the other way around.
Exactly.
So it's very customizable. It's perfect.
This has been fantastic.
Yeah,
Thank you so much. This has
for
been great.
having
All of these recipes, as Rebecca mentioned a little bit earlier, getkraken.ca. And not just these recipes, you can, of course, find tons of different recipes up there. We'll be back with Chef Yannick Anton from Le Cordon Bleu to share some amazing news about an award he has just been honored with. We'll be back with that right after this.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Watch Podium exclusively on Rogers TV.
Summer days, summer nights, lots of things to do, places to go, and people to see. If you're having a few drinks, be sure to plan ahead and get home safely. We don't want to pick you up. Drinking drivers risk injuries to themselves and others and take chances with their license, their jobs, and their future. Remember what's at stake and choose your ride, whether you're the driver, the passenger, or the party host. Thanks for supporting Sober Driving. I hope we never meet.
Visit arrivealive.org to find out more.
Hi, I'm Meg, and this is Fit Finley, and we're from Fit Over 50. Join me for a new season, which is full of awesome workouts designed for adults 50 plus. Improve your motivation, your strength, and your energy. Join me for a new season of Fit Over 50 exclusively on Rogers TV.
Hi, I'm Sam LaPrade, host of Ottawa Business Matters. We're going to gather here every single week and speak about business here in the capital. We're going to inspire, influence, and inform.
Welcome back to the show. So excited to have my next guest as a regular on the show. Oh boy, back in the day when I first started doing television over 20 years ago, and he is just a magical person, not only just in the kitchen, but as a personality. He's done so much for Ottawa's culinary scene and bringing that French cuisine here. Yannick Anton, he is the chef de cuisine over at Le Cordon Bleu, chef instructor, the executive chef at Signature's restaurant. You got lots of titles.
Oh,
and
I know.
now you have a brand new title.
I have a new
You've
one,
just
yes.
won an incredible honor. Tell us about this award.
Yes,
Chef.
so I've just been awarded from the French minister for the order of the Mérite Agricole. So that's basically a recognition on our, in the culinary industry, like a bit the Légion d'honneur or the Order of Canada. But in our industry, so it's quite amazing because it's not just a competition; it's actually a career. They reward a career, so that's
kind of like a lifetime achievement award, right?
Exactly, totally.
Well, and as I said, well deserved because you've been doing this for so. Tell me a little bit about your journey from France and what brought you to Ottawa here.
Oh, that's a long journey.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So we start the journey started 40 years ago almost in the culinary industry. At that time, I still had hair. I was young.
Right? Yeah. We all go through changes, Chef.
40 years later, that's what happened. But no, I worked like 8 years in France, different Michelin star restaurant. Then moved to Canada for Martin Picard in Montreal.
Okay.
And then came to Ottawa for the casino, actually.
Oh, really?
The opening of the casino at the Baccarat.
Yeah.
And moved to the States a few years, come back at the Westin Hotel here in Ottawa 20 years ago. And been at the Cordon Bleu for 18 years.
Amazing. So, what a great career.
Yeah,
an incredible career.
Moved around a bit.
Let's prepare something together and we can continue our conversation because there's the one fly in the whole building happened to join us here today. This is fantastic. All right, what are we making,
So
Chef?
today I have some langoustine, so very delicate shellfish that are already pre-cooked, so unilateral, so just slowly on one side. Then I cover it with some scale of carrots and yellow beets. And we're going to decorate with some peas and also some cucumber. Okay. So that's going to be your job.
That's my job.
That's your job. That's your job.
I knew you'd put me to work at some point.
So whatever you use, the spoon or
I gotta use this, right? I've got to use this. Come on, you fancy chefs do this all the time.
On the side, I'm going to do actually the sauce, which is langoustine jus that we're going to mix with some smoked onion puree. So smoked onion puree, I just cook it in duck fat.
Well,
you know,
everything's better with duck fat,
exactly.
my friend.
So right there, we already won. So duck fat, onion, then I smoked. So it has a bit of a smoky flavor. And on that, I'm going to actually add, I have a friend of mine who brought me this sea parsley.
Sea parsley?
Yeah, from
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, from New Brunswick. It's a levèche type of herbs. So That's what I like about our industry is you meet people, they bring you things, and then suddenly the creativity goes on.
You and I have that in common. I meet people, you bring me things. It's fantastic.
Exactly,
right?
exactly.
Two of the best jobs in the world you and I have.
Totally agree.
So this langoustine, I guess it's kind of like a shrimp
type, with a flesh a bit more delicate.
Okay.
Very, very soft. That's why the cooking has to be very gentle.
Okay.
Very, very important. So I have the sauce here. I made a mango compote, we call actually a rougail. It's from the Antilles island. So it's mixed with ginger, a bit of garlic.
Nice.
Here I have seaweed oil, something for decoration. And I made on a siphon a hollandaise with the langoustine jus. So that, I'm just going to use it a bit also.
Okay.
So I'm going to start a bit the plating.
Sure.
So first we put our sauce. So our smoked onion and sea parsley.
Why he's doing this, by the way, I want to also mention, not just this Lifetime Achievement Award, Le Cordon Bleu, for 2 consecutive years in a row, North America's #1 culinary school. I mean, that's incredibly prestigious. And you're nominated again this year, is that right?
Yes, we're nominated again this year.
Congratulations again. I know it's not just you, you've got a fantastic team over there, right?
It's the whole team, it's not just me. But we've been working very, very hard in different program, and that's basically the result. There's a lot of effort, a lot of teamwork all around the year. And
and you've introduced some new things. You've got like plant-based, right?
Yeah.
Cooking now as well.
Exactly. So I've been developing the plant-based for the last 2 years, and so actually we have a great success with that. And and something like you had Rebecca earlier.
Yeah.
They are the beginning of what we do.
Yeah, exactly.
They are actually the beginning. Without them, we won't be here.
I know,
So,
and knowing Rebecca's background and where she's come from, and her mom being on the show in the past, I'm not surprised that she moved into the food sciences.
Exactly.
Right?
No, but that's
you need inspiration, and that's what you've been doing, right? You've had an incredible impact on so many chefs over the years, right? Who go on to do amazing things.
No, definitely. We cross the path of many people, especially at the school. Many young talents that we train for the real life, I will say.
Yeah.
So that's quite rewarding on that part. But
so you're going to be, before I run out of time, you're going to be honored, right, at the French Embassy coming up on Thursday evening,
Thursday,
right?
Yeah. On Thursday.
How exciting is that? I mean, an honor like this, I mean, it's probably hard to put into words what it means to you.
It's honestly, when I received the letter, I was super excited, but then also there is a calm who came into me.
Right.
Because it's a kind of, what I've been doing is right.
Yeah.
My thinking, my goal, my vision into the culinary industry.
Well,
so
on behalf of all of us here at Rogers TV, congratulations, as I mentioned off the top, not just a wonderful chef, but a wonderful person. Congrats.
Thank you very much.
So great to have you. Don't go away. We got lots more coming up right after this.
This is a perfectly healthy child. What's unhealthy are birth alerts, a racist practice that may stop this Indigenous mother from going home with her newborn. Become an ally. Rise above racism in healthcare.
I was born and raised in Musqueam First Nation territory by my mother, who spoke Hunkaminam to me. As a child, I ceased using my mother tongue, as to use any language other than English was considered not being Canadian, so I was told. The old people came to me in a dream and reminded me of who I am and where I come from. I have reawakened. My roots are strong, and I'm no longer a silent speaker. My language tells me where I'm from. It defines me. and guides me to teach others to learn and understand our culture and traditions. A gift for those in the present and the unborn generations. What was lost is found. What was asleep has awakened. My blood is here, and I am complete. I have returned home.
Join us for season 4 of Simply Cooking by Chef, Sunday nights at 8 o'clock, right here on Rogers TV.
Oh, she has been walking us through and helping us plant those really important native plant gardens. And so we've been walking you through this whole process from, beginning in the winter and putting in the seeds. Last time she was on the show, we talked about the actual planting. So now that you've got your native garden planted, whether it's new or an existing native garden, where do you go from there? Well, Sandora Alfred-Purvis is back on the show, certified landscape designer and owner of A Cultivated Art. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Great to have you here. So I imagine this is like the most exciting period of your life right now in the business that you do, because you're starting to see things coming up, right?
Well, there's lots coming up, and actually right now a lot of the plants are getting big enough that I've mostly the last few weeks been packing plant orders for people. So they place their orders through the website, and I pack all these orders, and I've sent thousands of little baby plants out to people over the last few weeks.
So they've planted them, right? And as I said, we walked through sort of that planting process and where we are now. What's the most important thing people should be thinking about at this time?
So if they're working with a little baby plants still, and especially in new garden areas where there's not a lot of shade yet because it's like a bare area, maybe some wood chip mulch and all these little baby plants, they probably need a drink. Although it's been a fairly wet season, so there hasn't necessarily been a ton of need for watering, but with this heat, there's just that much more evaporation going on.
Right.
So definitely make a point of checking any young plants, and this is true of the native plants, but it's true of any of your garden. Keep an eye on it in the heat. Don't worry too much about wilting during the day, because when it's this hot, actually, sometimes the plants just this first real hit of heat of the season, they're losing water through their leaves faster than the roots can take it up. So even if the soil's wet, sometimes they wilt a bit during the day, but if they perk back up nicely in the evening and the soil's still damp, you're fine.
So you don't have to hit the panic button and start watering like crazy. Probably a lot of misconceptions of when to water, right? I've heard so many different things over the years. From your experience, when's the right time to water our plants?
So if you water in the morning, then the leaves have a chance to dry off during the day. If you water in the evening, because that's when you have the time to water, that's okay. For most species, actually, the issues with things like mildew or black spots on leaves, a lot of that is actually a result of stress from the plants. So if the plants get dried out and get stressed, and then we water them, it's the stress that is causing the disease loading often, or their susceptibility to disease, more than necessarily the time of day for watering. Because plants are wet, leaves are wet most mornings. We have dew anywhere. They're used to being wet. So if you water with like a sprinkler during the heat of the day, you have a lot of loss to evaporation. That's why not to water during the middle of the day. If you have a lot of really soft annual foliage, so like your vegetable garden and that you might not want to leave soaking wet. If you're watering your perennial garden, it's a fairly established garden, water it when you have time to water.
Okay. What about frequency? Because as you just described, right, we had a fairly wet season, right, which was obviously good. Now we've got this heat wave. Things are drying up. The frequency changes, I imagine?
Yeah, I do tend to just sort of keep an eye on the plants, and when they look thirsty, I water them. But so there isn't a hard and fast rule, because also as hot and as absolutely like incredibly hot as it feels to us out there right now, part of that heat is from the high the humidity coming up. Higher humidity actually reduces the evaporation for the plants. So it's actually, when I find people neglect to water more often, it's actually when we have the heat but lower humidity and especially a breeze, so we don't feel so bad.
Right.
And then the plants are like,
makes sense.
I'm dying here.
It's like the science of plants that you're describing here.
So.
You've also talked about, I mean, last time you were here, you talked, you know, when you plant and you put on, you know, whatever it happens to be, the wood chips of various kinds that you can get now. Does that help in sort of the heat wave situation that we have right now?
It does, because actually it does help put a little bit of a temperature buffer between the sunlight and that surface of the soil. So it does help to keep the roots from heating up. And that actually carries on well for people. Sometimes wonder, if I've got a plant in a pot, should I hold off till after the heat wave to put it into the ground?
Okay.
But actually, the roots stay cooler if you put them in the ground. So if you have potted plants that you're waiting to plant, even though it's hot, you know, do it in the evening or whatever, but go ahead and plant them and water them in. They'll actually still be happier in the ground than they will be in the container.
That ground cover, does that have to be replenished each and every season?
No, the point with a lot of ecological gardening is you treat that mulch layer like a Band-Aid, because the ground has lost whatever plant cover it had, and that's the skin. But you want to plant densely enough that you don't have a lot of bare space between the plants later on.
Okay.
So the mulch is just sort of just when you're doing a new garden, and then after that you want the garden to fill in so much you can't see the ground once the plants come up every year.
I see. Yeah, so, I mean, I guess that's the trick too, is figuring out what plants to plant beside each other. Like, do you have to take that into consideration?
You do need to take that into consideration, and a lot of it comes down to what's the ecosystem. Do they all come from the same general type of ecosystem when you're planting? And also, what role are they filling? Are they the tall plants? Are they often the flowering plants, which is what we tend to start off with our gardens? But also, there's usually grasses or sedges, if you look at an ecosystem in around those plants, that are doing a lot to keep the soil cool and provide a lot of habitat. And even in areas that might not have a lot of grasses or sedges, then there's usually a ground cover layer. There's some other species of plants. You'll see this like wild strawberries, or one I see a lot out in ecosystems. They're filling that whole ground layer. There's no bare soil in most ecosystems in this region.
So, Sandora, do we sometimes then mistaken things that are in our garden for weeds, and then we start removing those, and we're actually hurting our garden more than helping? I mean, I know people are doing it for aesthetics, but could that be harming our garden in any way?
Well, it can be, but actually the big thing is try to get to know what plants are coming up, because there's a lot of native plants that have shown up in my yard that I ended up leaving once I actually learned to identify the volunteers. And so some of the volunteers are native plants from this ecosystem that actually do belong in the ecosystem you're working on creating in your garden. And so, woohoo, free plants.
Right.
But then some of them are self-seeding from non-native or invasive species or trees. And so unless you're going for a forest, probably the main type of plant I weed from my garden are tree seedlings.
Interesting. Okay, stick around, because you did bring a plant here, and we're going to talk a little bit about pruning and what you should be keeping in mind. So we'll be back with Sandora right after this. Don't go anywhere.
Watching an interesting local show on Rogers TV and you want to know more, that's when you head to rogerstv.com. Our website provides more information about our programs, our hosts, our schedule, and about how you too can get involved with Rogers TV. Visit us online at rogerstv.com.
You.
You're going to want to join us at Madaki Farm for the wonderful summer solstice happening June 21st to 23rd. You're going to meet incredible people, taste delicious food, listen to fantastic music, and meet friends like my friend Rihanna.
Every year, dozens of Canadians are killed or seriously injured because they take risks around railway tracks. Talk to your loved ones about rail safety. Visit stoptracktragedies.ca.
Welcome back. We are back with Sundora and continuing our conversation on native plants and your native plant gardens. And I teased just before the break, we're going to talk about pruning because you brought something along with you here. A lot of people would look at this and go, well, why would I want this in my garden? What have you got here?
This is a New England aster, and as far as why you'd want this in the garden, well, that gets answered in late August and into September when they get absolutely covered with gorgeous purple flowers, which are then all covered with bumblebees.
Nice.
So people are planting these, and a lot of times when people are going, okay, I need to plant some native plants, they plant New England, or they hear, okay, I need to plant asters and goldenrods because they're really ecologically important. It's two families of plants for supporting native pollinators and native bees, and the pollen that asters produce is really important for a lot of species of native bees. It's what they raise their young on.
Really?
And the young are much more successful if they are raised on aster pollen than if they're raised on pollen from other species.
Wow.
So really ecologically important, but what sometimes people are a bit surprised by is this one's pretty short for a New England aster.
Really?
So New England asters, when they're happy, can easily get 5 or 6 feet tall in a growing season.
Wow.
Which can be a little bit overwhelming for some home gardeners. And then depending on the spot too, because I've had some volunteer in a little space along the edge of my driveway where not many other plants wanted to grow, so I'm like, okay, you can stay, but if I just leave them to be, they're gonna grow tall and then they're gonna fall over and then they're gonna be on the driveway and then they're gonna have to get cut back.
Gotcha.
And we'll lose the flowers. But I can be a bit proactive with managing their height. So this works for pretty much any plant, any perennial that comes up and tends to sort of branch and have lots of flowers on the branches. This is kind of the end of the point in the season when you do it. You do it now or earlier.
Okay.
But what you can do is you can actually prune them. And pardon the mess at the bottom. I had some lovely potted ones, and I was going to bring one from the nursery.
Right.
But sometimes people are like, oh, well, no, nobody's pruning out an ecosystem sometimes when you talk about proactively pruning. And, well, the deer came by and pruned those ones for me last week. So I'm like, want to bet?
Right.
So I had to pull this one from, it was designated for relocation in the garden anyway, so a little messy around the bottom, but normally that's in amongst a bunch of other plants.
Is this a plant, Sundar, sorry to cut you out, is this a plant that you think a lot of people, see it growing at this stage and they may think it's a weed and get rid of it?
They might, and it's sort of funny because somebody posted a photo this spring on a Facebook group going, what is this? Because they bought an aster in the fall when it was all covered with flowers, and then they saw this plant coming up and they thought they'd lost their aster. And it's like, no, that's the aster.
Okay.
They're kind of a little gawky this time of year, but they are incredibly stunning later.
Worth the wait, everybody.
They are, and mostly they just blend in, be green. And then, like, this is last year's stems. I cut them back sort of part way, so that they actually become habitat for stems.
I thought these were sticks that you actually added in. So those are actual stems.
And actually, if you cut them off, they're one of the hollow-stemmed species. They have sort of a pip down the middle. A lot of stem nesting bees will actually lay eggs in those stems if you leave them standing, which is why we always say just cut things back a little bit, but leave a lot of old stems standing. So when it comes to how to prune these back so that you get a branched plant that's shorter, because because that can be great for at the edges of gardens and for areas where they might otherwise fall over.
Right.
So I tend to trim the ones sort of around my walkway. Then they'll end up blooming a little bit later. So the taller ones that I don't trim that are further back in the garden start to bloom regular time. And then these extend the bloom season, which is great for the end of the season pollinators when we have these really warm, long years like we're having right now. The plants run a little early and they're blooming. And then we can hit the end of the season and they might almost be all done too early, so it's before it gets cool enough for the pollinators to go dormant for the winter.
Right.
So it's good to have a few of your plants blooming a little bit later.
Okay.
So the pruning is really straightforward. You don't want to go more than about 1/3 of the height. So if you do it earlier on in the season, you can kind of keep them a bit shorter. But even now, you can go ahead and you can sort of lop some of these tops off. And when you take the top off of a stem, what you'll get is a whole bunch more side branching. So rather than just growing up and up and up and up and up, as long as you take those tips off.
Oh, so you can make it a little bushier.
Yeah, so you're going to have a bushier, more branched plant that's going to bloom a little bit later, just a week or so later.
Okay.
And they're going to be less prone to tipping over and sort of like blocking pathways and things like that.
Right.
So you can do this with your asters this time of year, and you're going to just get that little bit of extra sort of extension in your bloom season if you just do some of your asters, so you have the early start and the later ones carrying on.
Right.
And yeah, you don't have to trip over your asters on your front walk.
That's important. It is sort of seed gathering season right now too, is that right? It's just beginning?
So it's starting. So some of the spring blooming plants, their seeds are ripe. And I brought that up in the list of things to go over because the Ottawa Wildflower Seed Library is already accepting donations for the year.
Okay.
And you can actually bring them to their seed swap events and they'll collect them for distribution later on. So start gathering seeds. That's how we get more native plants and more gardens.
Yeah, and so, I mean, will it be pretty obvious when things are seeds are available? Because I know some plants are obvious and some plants aren't. I guess that's part of doing your own research.
Well, you can do your own research, but actually, if you join the Ottawa Wildflower Seed Library Facebook group, they're doing a really great job of actually putting together posts this year showing exactly when different seeds are ready and what they look like when they're ready.
Okay.
So they're doing a great job of actually making that really easy for people. There's a post. It says, "This is ready. This is what it looks like when it's ready. Go out and collect some."
So you've got a couple coming up, right? There's one in July, one in August. One of these seed swaps.
So
right?
It's not just seed swaps. The Wildflower Seed Library hosts seedling exchanges and plant exchanges. So people bring native plants to it, and you don't have to bring any, but you're welcome to bring what you have, and you're welcome to adopt and take home. So even if you don't have a native plant garden and you're trying to get one started, it's a great place to actually come and get a bunch of them. And they have some upcoming events.
And there's no cost?
No cost. It's all volunteer run. It's all free. You can get native plants for your native plant garden.
That is amazing.
Yeah,
absolutely amazing. Sandora, a real pleasure. Thank you so much. Happy gardening to all of you out there. By the way, the first one is July 6th at Britannia Beach, 1 to 2:30 p.m. And the next is August 10th at Springhurst Park. Again, same time, 1 to 2:30 p.m. wildflowerseedlibrary.ca/events. Find out more information. We'll be back right after this.
Welcome to Community News and Events on Rogers TV. I am Sadiqa Diaram. From June 21st through to 23rd, you will get an opportunity to enjoy Canada's Indigenous culture at the Summer Solstice Indigenous Festival. Enjoy live performances, food, and other entertainment. The event will be held at 4420 West Hunt Club Road, and it's free. If you are in the mood for some Afro-jazz music, get your tickets now. The John Dapt Quartet will bring an eclectic blend of Caribbean and African music at the First Unitarian Congregation of Ottawa. This takes place on June 29th from 7:30 to 9 p.m. In honor of Pride Month, DARG, a 2S LGBTQIA organization, will be hosting a free screening of short films by queer Canadians. This takes place on June 26 at 6 p.m. at 67 Nicholas Street. To share your events, check out rogerstv.com/community-billboard.
Join us for the new season of Ottawa Storytellers, right here on Rogers TV.
Watch Podium exclusively on Rogers TV.
Welcome back to the show. Oh boy, you know, variety is the spice of life. We do so many different things on this show. We are turning our attention to yoga, Pranashanti Yoga Center. If you've never experienced it and you're interested in yoga, or you're doing yoga right now, it is a fantastic space. And here to tell us more about it, I'm joined by Carmen Laflamme. She is the manager at Pranashanti, and Ashley Easterbrook, a registered massage therapist. Welcome to you both.
Thanks.
Great to welcome back and welcome to the first time. Carmen, I meant what I said, and you know, I've had people from Pranashanti on the show in the past, and there's just something that's really unique about this particular yoga studio.
Yeah.
How would you describe it to people?
I would describe it as just a place for anybody, a welcoming space where you can walk in and you have the option of either going to a class, maybe you want to do some teacher training, maybe you want to have a massage, maybe you want to just grab a cup of tea and walk around the boutique. Like there's something for everybody. So
yeah, and that's a great overview, because you're not just a yoga center, right?
Yeah.
I think you're more probably a wellness center. Is that fair to say?
We're a wellness center, yeah, for sure. And we have our whole education component of all our 200, 300, and 800-hour teacher training programs that we offer as well.
And you have those coming up?
Yeah,
Is
we
that
have
right?
one coming up, our 200-hour Hatha Yoga Teacher Training Summer Intensive Program. So it actually runs from July 4th to August 18th. Good for anybody who wants to become a yoga teacher or just expand their practice.
Ashley, tell me a little bit about your background and how you came to start working with Pranashanti.
Well, I actually specialize in lymphatic drainage massage, and also just want to help the community to be their best selves. So we have that in common, to just make the community a little bit better and just to give our part. Yeah.
Well, we're going to do a little bit of a demo, because people heard what you just said and they went, what? What are you talking about, girlfriend? So let's do this. So you and I are going to face each other, right?
Yeah.
So if I'll just have you come a little bit closer here, just bring up your chair.
Yep.
Is this close enough?
That's perfect.
Okay, so you're going to walk us through. So first of all, before we even get started, so what are the benefits of doing something like this?
Yeah, so lymphatic drainage essentially is our backup system. It's like an antivirus in our body. And essentially what it does is it helps to clean debris, helps to prevent viruses or bacteria from accumulating, and essentially mounts an immune response. So it's really important, especially in allergy season. What happens is our sinuses get really inflamed, a lot of pressure. So what this will do is will help to just kind of alleviate a bit of that pressure while also making your face look really nice and glowing.
Well, I like the sounds of all of this. Okay. Do as you will, Ashley.
So the first thing we're going to do is always start at the neck and the collarbone. The reason being is that this is the drain, essentially, of our lymphatic system. So what I'm going to get you to do is put your hands on the sides of your neck. And I'm just going to get you to do some nice circles as if you're going down towards your shoulders. Yeah. It should feel really gentle and really soothing.
You got Carmen well trained, right? Like she just dove right into that. Just.
I want that glow. Yeah, so then what we're going to do after that is we're going to go down to the shoulders and just massage inwards just a little bit. Yeah.
Well, that feels good.
Right?
Who knew you could do self-massage like this? This is fantastic.
So after that feels nice and good, then we're going to make our way to sort of where the angle of the chin is, and same thing, down and around.
Okay.
Down and around.
So you teach people how to do this themselves?
Yeah.
Because the reason I put the chairs close, I thought you were going to do it, but this is even better because now I can go home and do it myself.
Exactly. Yeah, and then we make our way to like the nasal bridge, and same thing, down and always down and towards the bottom. You always want to make sure you're going down and around.
All right.
Yeah, it should feel really nice and soothing.
Carmen, am I glowing?
Yeah. I can see a change already.
Okay, good.
Yes.
But it does feel great.
Right?
Yeah.
And then what you can do afterwards is some nice sweeping motions, just kind of with your hands down and towards the chin, down and towards the jawline. It should feel really soothing.
You guys talk amongst yourselves. I'm just going to do this for the rest of the... Sorry, Julie. We're just going to do this the rest of the... I'm kidding. Julie from CAA is coming up. Let's turn our attention back to some of the things that are going on, Carmen.
Yeah.
Because you have like a summertime discount coming up, right?
It usually starts July 1st, but we started a bit early this year because we want people to get the free classes. So from this point forward, you can buy 20 classes and get 10 additional free classes, or buy a 10-class package and get 5 additional free classes. And those classes can be used between August 1st and August 31st. So essentially you get free yoga for the month of August.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a great deal.
And then you have a beautiful garden there, right? You're located down on Gladstone, and you're doing yoga in the garden over the summer,
so
is that
outdoor
right?
yoga in our garden. We have Tuesdays, so tonight from 6:30 to 7:30, and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. So whether you're morning or night, you can pick. And tonight we actually have a henna artist coming and doing henna on everybody. So yeah, come on by.
You also have something else going on twice a month on Tuesdays. Am I right? Or am I making stuff up, Carmen? Because I tend to do that sometimes.
So our Hatha teacher training.
Okay.
It's a commitment of 4 days a week for 2 weeks out of the month. And then we also have Tuesday nights are the lecture evenings.
Oh, yes.
So if you do join in, that's a commitment you're expected to make, but it's really just, such a fun training.
Actually, I wanted to jump back to you. For those that, have never done massage therapy, I've done it in the past because something hurts, but very good for preventative, as a preventative medicine sort of thing, right?
Absolutely. Actually, it's really important, much like cleaning our teeth and we get annual or like maintenance, it's important ideally to go once a month if you can afford it.
Right.
Just because, again, you don't want to get to that point of pain. When you're at that point of pain already, things have gone too far. So ideally, what we would do as massage therapists is we would help to target that, reduce the pain, increase your range of motion, and get you to a place where you're feeling good. And when you come in, ideally, will be like when you're just starting to get on that edge.
Right. And I would encourage people too, there's so many people that do have insurance out there, and you don't take advantage of it, and you're crazy not to.
Gotta do it.
Right?
Gotta do it.
Honestly, don't let it go to waste. You have a certain amount, a maximum that you can use every year, so reach out to somebody like Ashley. I guarantee you'll absolutely love the experience. Thank you both. Really appreciate
Thank you
joining.
so much for having
My pleasure.
us.
We'll be back with Julie Buin from CAA North and East Ontario right after this.
Today, I helped a senior find transportation to an important medical appointment.
Today, I helped a new mom find virtual programming so she didn't feel so isolated.
Today, I helped someone understand new government supports.
Every day, 211 navigators connect Canadians to critical government and community programs and services.
211. Help starts here.
I'm Sam LaPrade, host of Ottawa Business Matters. We're going to gather here every single week and speak about business here in the capital. We're going to inspire, influence, and inform.
With clubs, leagues, and courts in every province and territory across Canada, squash is the sport for wall-to-wall fun, fitness, and friendship. From coast to coast to coast. Learn to play, and you'll want to do it every day. Squash. Play inside the box.
Join us for season 4 of Simply Cooking by Chef, Sunday nights at 8 o'clock, right here on Rogers TV.
Welcome back to the show. You have probably heard from many different news organizations all across the country and talking about car theft. And it's at the point where it's catastrophic. I mean, it's affecting so many people, not just, of course, consumers, but of course, consumers, the insurance industry itself as well. Here to help us navigate this a little bit better, I'm joined by Julie Bune, Managing Director of Communications and Public Relations for CAA North and East Ontario. Welcome back.
Good to see you again,
Good to see you too. I did say catastrophic proportions because, I mean, I'm not even exaggerating, am I?
No, we're actually calling it a crisis because that's what it is. We're at the stage where every 5 minutes a car is being stolen in Canada. And it's really Ottawa, Toronto, sort of basically Ontario, Quebec. And there is some car theft happening in Alberta. Okay. And some in the Maritime provinces, but really it is Central Ontario and Quebec issue, and it is basically an ongoing issue. It's not letting up. It's increasing, if anything.
So why is it happening so frequently? Do we have any understanding of that?
Yeah, so there are a bunch of different things happening. Obviously, okay. You know, we're looking at tech. You know, ironically, if we were still using a mechanical key, this wouldn't be happening because technology has been advanced to such a degree that, you know, now the thieves don't even need a key to get in. Obviously, right. They have a mobile, you know, they have technology that can intercept the relay on a key fob. They can make away with your car in less than 15 minutes. So that's one thing. Another issue is that we are talking about organized crime. Back in the 80s, when the last time car theft was really a thing, it was about joyriding and kids or young adults or whomever grabbing a car and running with it and then dumping. Right. It's happened to me. I'm sure it's happened to you. These days, it's organized crime. And what they do is they're actually, you know, a gang will get a list of cars that they need, that they're looking for, because they have consumers, they have buyers, and they're going overseas to all sorts of countries. It's not just, you sort of think African countries, but it's also the Middle East, it's Belgium, it's France, it's South America. So they're going high and wide. And this is not a uniquely Canadian problem.
Right.
This has happened in other jurisdictions around the world, and those countries have had to deal with it and tighten up, you know, all of the bits and pieces. So that's where we're at right now, where at all levels of government and all levels, all jurisdictions for the police services are really looking at it and trying to figure out, okay, what can we do to slow this down? Our position with CAA is it's time for us to empower consumers, okay, because the wheels of change are going to require legislative changes. We've already seen some of those happen. The federal government has taken a really firm stance on some of the penalties for involving gang members and all that sort of stuff. The car industry, the insurance industry, they're all working together. Now it's time for people to say, okay, you know what, it's not happening fast enough, I'm at risk. What can I do to help myself?
Yeah, so what can we do as individuals? I have a brand new car myself, right? It's got all this tech that you're talking about. How do I protect myself from theft?
Right, so there's a whole range of things that we could be doing, and so I've come up with a campaign that says the keys are in your hands. right? So
Right.
you actually have the tools to do this.
Okay.
You know, at one end of it, keep your keys in a key fob, an RFID key fob in the house, or a metal box. You know, there's those sorts of things. You should be looking at a combination of tools. So I use a club lock.
Yeah,
Only
I've heard
5% of Canadians use a club lock. Now that's a visual deterrent because they can also slice through the steering wheel. So what else do you need? Well, you could also get a port lock. So under the steering wheel on the left-hand side, and the Subaru has got them. It's a little port lock that you can have professionally installed. And when they try to pry it off, they can bend the tines and they can't get the relay tool in there to steal
Okay.
your car. So you have a visual deterrent, you have something that's actually going to make it impossible to take the car unless they pull up with a flatbed and
Right.
take off with it, right? So there's that. There's then the other things like a motion detector. Put your car in the garage. Folks, put your car in the garage. Only 34% of people in
Yeah.
Canada use their garages. They store all of their stuff.
Yeah, or they turn it into a workshop or
a
whatever.
dance
Yeah.
studio. My next door neighbor, works
dance
out,
studio. There,
right?
there you go. Okay, before we run out of time, this one is crazy. It's crazy to me. This is a big, large vehicle, right? Like they're stealing SUVs by the thousands,
Yeah.
and they're getting to port, and they're putting in big crates of some kind. Like, how are we missing it going from port to port?
So part of the problem is that we have got police agencies across multiple provinces. Ottawa might call and say, hey, there's this SUV, the owner has got a GPS system in the
Yeah.
car. They can see it's going over here.
It's in Montreal.
Then
or
they have to
whatever.
call the police, and the police are like, yeah, we have a murder. We've got other priority. Like, not that there's only one thing happening.
Right.
That's why it's so important to also consider putting in an aftermarket immobilizer, not just a tagging system, because that's after the car has been taken.
Julie, I have to take a break, but I have a minute 20 to sort of that I usually wrap things up with, but I'm going to wrap up with you instead of our normal wrap up. So you stick around. Julie Buin back after this, and we'll wrap up this conversation. I hope you're taking notes at home.
You're watching an interesting local show on Rogers TV and you want to know more. That's when you head to rogerstv.com. Our website provides more information about our programs, our hosts, our schedule, and about how you too can get involved with Rogers TV. Visit us online at rogerstv.com.
You're going to want to join us at Madaki Farm for the wonderful summer solstice happening June 21st to 23rd. You're going to meet incredible people, taste delicious food, listen to fantastic music, and meet friends like my friend Rihanna.
Every year, dozens of Canadians are killed or seriously injured because they take risks around railway tracks. Talk to your loved ones about rail safety. Visit stoptracktragedies.ca.
Welcome back to the show. Decided to stick around here with Julie Buin from CAA North and East Ontario because, as you said, there's so much to talk about. This is such a big issue. I mean, I'm encouraged that we're hearing the federal government, provincial government have these conversations. But during the break, you turned to me and said, make sure you ask me about concerts.
Right.
And concert parking lots in particular.
So one of the things that we're partnering with the OPS, Ottawa Police Service, in our education campaign, and one of the things that they told me is that the value of an immobilizer, getting an aftermarket immobilizer and tagging system and all these things, is that what they are seeing is these gangs are going in, they're watching the cars coming into a parking lot. Say you're going to Blues Fest or whatever the case may be. They can use a relay to, when you think you're clicking your car to lock your car, they're intercepting that, and then, they're getting into your car as you're walking away, and 15 minutes later, your car has left the parking lot.
Unbelievable.
So you know, we do have the keys in our own hands to take charge of our own personal
Julia,
property.
I really appreciate the time. Hey, we'll see you next time here on Daytime.
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.
Times when I want to tell him how I'm feeling and what is happening. Those times when I need him to hold me up. Those times when I need support in being a parent. Missing him was and is overwhelming. The reality I have learned is that I will grieve forever, yet I also understand that his love will be with me forever.
On the next episode of Pody.